In the last lecture, we had started with the arithmetic instructions. The arithmetic instructions that we looked were ADD, add two 8-bit numbers, and one of the data should be in accumulator and the result is also stored in accumulator. Then we saw ADDC, add with carry, same format. One of the number should be in accumulator, result is stored back in accumulator, but the addition is along with the 1-bit carry flag. Then we have subtract with borrow instruction. It is destination minus source minus the 1-bit carry flag. Carry acts as a borrow flag during subtraction. We do not have a normal subtract instruction. It's always subtract with borrow. So whenever we are adding or subtracting 8-bit numbers, two 8-bit numbers, I don't need the carry and the borrow flags. Right? Whenever we are adding or subtracting two numbers more than 8-bit, then and then only we need the carry and the borrow flags. But during normal 8-bit operations, I don't need the carry and the borrow. So see students, whenever you are using subtract instruction, it is SUBB with borrow. So always take a precaution of clearing the carry flag and then writing SUBB instruction. Okay, so with this, the carry bit will become 0. So before using SUBB instruction, clear the carry flag during normal 8-bit operations, 8-bit subtraction, right? And it affects all the flags. So we were into the last, we ended at SUBB, we had seen subtract with borrow instruction, right? So immediate addressing mode is possible, register addressing mode is possible. If it is register addressing mode, take a precaution of storing the second number in the mentioned register. If I'm using R6 in the instruction SUBB A, R6, one data has to be in accumulator, that is by default. Whereas the second number, you store it in R6 by the instruction MOV R6, hash E hex, and then use SUBB A, R6. Okay. The second was direct addressing mode, SUBB A, 40 hex. One of the operand is in accumulator, second operand is in memory at address 40 hex. And the last instruction was indirect addressing mode. Your data, one of the data is in accumulator, second data is in memory. And the address of that memory is stored in R0. So before using pointer register, make sure you have stored the correct address in that register mentioned. So I have used here R0 as a pointer. So before using SUBB instruction, I will store the correct address in register R0. That's 40 hex is one number. And what is that number? A memory address. So I should be writing MOV R0, hash 40 hex, and then only I will make use R0 as a pointer. I'll be writing SUBB A, @R0. If you do not do this, some random data will be picked up, will be subtracted, and the results will be random. Okay, students. So those were arithmetic instructions. That was an example, and we took few numbers, F9, for example, here F9 minus 14, that is E, minus the borrow, that is the carry bit. And we saw how the flags were affected, right? How did carry, auxiliary carry set, and so on. So just a revision. If there is a carry or a borrow from lower nibble to upper nibble, auxiliary is set. If there is a carry or borrow from the 7th bit, that is the last bit, carry flag is set. If on adding two positive numbers, the answer is negative, vice versa, overflow is set, right? Whenever you add or subtract opposite signed numbers, one is negative, the other is positive, never will there be an overflow. If the numbers are same, plus plus, minus minus, there is a possibility of overflow. And parity, count how many logic ones are there in the answer. In this case, there are 6 ones, even mean the parity is cleared. So this is where we had stopped in the last lecture. Today we will see further arithmetic instructions, increment, decrement instructions. Okay. increment, you have 8-bit increment as well as 16-bit increment, but decrement you have only 8-bit. Remember this. How is the format? Increment and only one operand is given. That operand is the destination as well as the source. Okay, so you have, see, I have written destination / source, mean whatever you write here, register, memory address or anything, pointer, that is the source as well as the destination. Right? So increment, whatever you have written here, acts as a source. The data from the source is incremented by 1, mean 1 is added to the data and it is stored back in the destination. Decrement, whatever you have mentioned here, it acts as a source as well as destination. So the source data minus 1 decrements by 1 and is placed back. So a single increment instruction is addition of +1. Okay. Now this destination and source, what are the variety available? Look here. Destination source can be accumulator as well as destination can be accumulator. Destination and source can be register RN. Whereas your data can be in memory, mention the address, direct address. Data can be in memory, point by RI, and a 16-bit increment is DPTR. So these are the 5 options available. 4 are 8-bit increment and the last one is 16-bit increment. Correct? And the same is applicable for decrement also. So see here in black I have mentioned increment instruction. INCA, increment the data from accumulator, store back in accumulator. INCRN, it is R0 to R7 register as well as B register. Students. So if I write INCRN, data from RN added by 1, stored back in RN. INC direct, it means you will be mentioning some memory address. Data from that memory address will be incremented by 1 and stored back in memory at the same address. INC @RI, mean @R0, @R1. And INC DPTR. DPTR is a 16-bit register. So that's a 16-bit increment operation. Correct? So whereas look at the red color decrement, you don't have a 16-bit decrement operation. And remember this, students. Right? So we have decrement A, data from accumulator decreased by 1, that is subtract by 1, save back in accumulator. DECRN, data from RN register decrement by 1, save back in RN. This is the source as well as the destination. Decrement direct, data at this address is decremented and saved in the same address. Decrement @RI, data pointed by RI, decremented by 1, saved at the same memory, pointed by RI. Right? And none of the flags are affected. Even though it's addition of 1, subtraction of 1, flags do not get affected. Remember this, right? Increment, decrement do not affect the flags. So we will see increment examples one by one. So we will see first INCA, increment accumulator, 1-byte instruction, and accumulator is in the instruction, it has to be 1 machine cycle. Okay, so increment A is 1 byte, 1 machine cycle. Data from accumulator is added by 1 and saved back in accumulator. Example given, before execution of increment, suppose accumulator had F9 hex. See students, we deal with binary, microcontroller deals with binary, and for our convenience, we write the same binary number in hexadecimal. So when I'm writing F9, this is for our convenience, whereas microcontroller will take it as F is 1111. 9 will be taken as 1001. Always keep this in mind. Microcontroller does not work on hex. Hexadecimal notation is for the users or the programmer's convenience. Microcontroller always operates on binary. So suppose it was F9 hex, F9 plus 1, hexadecimal number 0129. After 9 it is A, B, C, D, E, F, and after F, mean after 0F, it is 10111219, After 19, it is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1F. And after 1F, it is 2021. Hope you know how the hexadecimal numbers increment. So F9 plus 1, 9 plus 1 is 10, and 10 is written as A. Hence, after execution, you will have FA hex as a result and will be stored in accumulator, right? And even though it is an addition, none of the flags are affected. Next, increment Rn, example written INC R3. It can be R0 to R7 or B register. So INC R3, data from R3, incremented by 1, stored back in R3. 1 byte, 1 machine cycle. Okay. Suppose R3 is having A hex, A plus 1, what should be the answer? B. Before execution, A. During execution, what happens? Incrementing happens. And after execution, you get the result, B hex. Next, INC direct. It means I should be mentioning the address of that data. Example, INC 55 hex. That's a memory address. So see the execution. Data from this 55 hex is picked up, added by 1 and stored back in 55 hex. Okay, so the data from the memory is incremented, stored back in memory. Before execution, suppose the data in this memory address was A hex, 55 is an address, A is the data. So A plus 1 becomes B. So execution is increment that data, B, and save in the memory back. So after execution in the same memory location, I will find the answer, incremented answer. Okay, students. So please do not, 55 is an address. What does increment do? It increments the data at that address. Okay. The last example, INC @Rn, right? 1 byte, 1 machine cycle. Yeah, here it was INC direct, INC 55 hex, that's 2 byte. Okay, students. So that's 2 byte, 1 machine cycle. INC @Rn, example written is INC @R1. Now I told you all R1 is a pointer, mean R1 should have the address. So before writing INC R1, make sure you have stored the address in R1. So look in the red color. MOV R1 comma hash 40. This 40 number, I have stored it in R1. And what is that number? It's a memory address. Right? Then and then only this will work properly. So see the execution, double brackets, data pointed by R1, incremented by 1 and stored back in the memory, again pointed by R1. Same location. So before execution, suppose R1 was 40 hex address. At this address, you had stored A hex. During execution, what will happen? Data pointed by R1, mean A hex is added by 1 and stored back in the memory pointed by R1. So after execution, R1 will have same address 40, but at that address you will find the result B hex. And that's a 16-bit increment operation. INC DPTR. Right? DPTR is a pointer register. It points to external RAM memory or external or internal ROM memory. So here you are incrementing a 16-bit number. So 1 byte, and see it's a 16-bit operation, 2 machine cycles. Since controller is 8-bit, it will perform 8-bit operation at a time. So it needs 2 machine cycles. So DPTR data, the number in DPTR incremented by 1, stored back in DPTR. So before execution, let us assume DPTR was having this address 519C hex, 519C plus 1, it becomes 519D. So in DPTR, you will find 519D. Okay. Now students, well, this is a 16-bit increment operation. Now, where do you need this increment and decrement instructions? See, whenever you are dealing with consecutive numbers, suppose you're finding average of 10 numbers. So you have to pick one number, add it, save. Pick the second number, add, save. Pick the third number, add, save. So you are going to access consecutive numbers. Mean you will use pointer at the rate dptr. So once you pick the number, suppose you 4000, 4001 and so on up to 4009, you had 10 numbers. You will pick the number from 4000, perform the addition. Now you have to pick the next number, that is dptr should become 4001. You do that with the help of increment, right? So not only dptr, r0 is a pointer. I can write increment r0. So initially if r0 was 40 hex, it will become 41. So just by doing increment and decrement, the pointers can be moved ahead or take it back. And accordingly, you can read and write those memory locations. Okay. Every time I need not put a new number in the pointer register. Correct. So store the starting address in the pointer register and then use increment and decrement instructions to move the pointer register. So that's the use of increment and decrement instructions. Now, if this would have been, all these formats are available for decrement also. DEC A minus 1, store back in A. DEC RN mean DEC R3, R3 minus 1, store back in R3. DEC 55 hex, data from 55 minus 1, store back in the same memory. Right? So the same are applicable for decrement also. DEC at the rate R1, data pointed by R1 minus 1, store back in the same memory pointed by R1. Whereas we don't have a 16-bit, decrement. Okay. Then how do you do that? How do you decrement the dptr? Correct. How do you decrement the dptr? So I'll take the lower 8-bit, clear the carry flag, take the lower 8-bit, subtract. Now I might get a borrow. Then I go to the higher bit and I perform subtract with borrow. Correct. This is where I am doing a 16-bit subtraction, and for the first subtraction, I don't need a borrow, but for a higher digit subtraction, I need a borrow. So that's the way we will be doing 16-bit decrement operation. Okay, fine. Then let's go for the next. Multiply, right? So increment, decrement, the next arithmetic is multiply instruction, MUL. Now see, whatever ADD, ADDC and subtract, those were signed as well as unsigned arithmetic. Mean I can add signed number as well as I can add or subtract unsigned numbers. Right? Multiply, it's an unsigned 8-bit. You cannot perform signed multiplication. Right? Mean the point to tell you is minus 6 into minus 2, you will get 12. But minus 6 into 2, you will get minus 12. This thing is not available here. It's always unsigned. Right? So multiply and divide, unsigned instruction. Right? How is the format? MULAB, compulsory. It is one number in accumulator, second number in B register. So it is an unsigned 8-bit multiplication. 1 byte and 4 machine cycles to execute. So that's the longest time taken by the instruction. Right? Execution is 4 machine cycles. 1 machine cycle is 12. 12 into 4, 48. So 48 clock pulses are required to execute multiply instruction. Correct, students? So MULAB, data from 8-bit data from A is multiplied with 8-bit data from B, and the answer can be 16-bit. Correct? I told you all, suppose decimal number is 6, one digit decimal. Other digit decimal is 2. 6 into 2 is 12. Our answer is 2 digits. Similarly, in binary also, 8-bit into 8-bit can result in a 16-bit answer. Out of that, the lower 8 bits, 0 to 7, are stored in accumulator, and the higher 8 bits, 8 to 15, are stored in B register. So 8-bit into 8-bit unsigned multiplication gives you a 16-bit unsigned answer. Let us assume accumulator is having 5 hex, B is having F2 hex. So the multiplication will be 5 hex into F2 hex. See, it's an hexadecimal multiplication. And that's a 16-bit answer, 04C9. Out of that, C9 will be stored in accumulator, the lower 8 bits, and 04 will be stored in B register. Correct? So 16-bit answer, 04C9. C9 accumulator and 04 will be available in B register. Correct? Now, only the two flags are affected, auxiliary carry and carry. Since it's unsigned, overflow is ignored. Overflow is meant for signed operations. Correct? So the only two flags affected are auxiliary carry and carry. And that too, carry is always cleared. Whenever you multiply two numbers, carry will always be 0. That's how it gets affected. And what about auxiliary carry? Auxiliary carry will also be 0 if the result is 8-bit. Correct? But if the result or the product is greater than 8-bit, 8-bit means what is the last number? FF. Correct? So if the product is greater than FF, 8-bit number, then and then only auxiliary carry is set. Okay? Why this has been given? So that, see, if the auxiliary carry is 0, I know the answer is only 8-bit. So I will only store accumulator somewhere. I will not write an instruction to store B register because B has nothing. Right? So if auxiliary carry is equal to 1, then and then only I will store accumulator as well as I will store B register answer. So that's the reason there is an indication if the answer is 8-bit or if the answer is 16-bit. Auxiliary carry set mean the answer is 16-bit. Auxiliary carry 0 mean the answer is 8-bit. The next, division. It's an 8-bit unsigned division again, 1 byte 4 machine cycles. The format is DIV-AB. Okay. And the number in accumulator gets divided by the number in B. Right? Again, remember this. Who gets divided by whom? It's A divided by B. Data from accumulator gets divided with the data from B. And the answer is the quotient and the remainder. Accumulator has the quotient. B register has the remainder. Fine. So example given here. Accumulator is having F2 hex. B is having 36 hex. So F2 divided by 36. You all can do it and see. You have 4 as a quotient and 1A hex as a remainder. It's an hexadecimal division. Okay. So 4 you will find it in accumulator. The quotient is in accumulator and the remainder 1A hex you will get it in B register. Two flags are affected. Which one? Overflow and the carry. And what about carry? Carry is again cleared. Multiply and division clears the carry flag. Okay. Now see, why should you all remember the flags? Because you will be writing jump instructions. Okay, students. Jump if the condition is true. Jump on carry, jump on no carry. And such conditions are based on the flags. So if I do a division instruction and if I say jump on carry, that's not going to happen anytime because division is going to clear the carry flag. That jump condition, if condition is never going to be true. So that's the reason every instruction, how do they affect the flag? Right? You should be clear about. So division instruction is going to clear the carry flag. Even overflow is going to be cleared. Parity and the auxiliary carry ignore. Right? They will have something random. So carry and overflow will be cleared, but overflow flag will be set if the division is by 0. Okay. Now, what do you get if you do divide by 0? What is the quotient, students? If any number is divided by 0? Very good, very good. Right? Infinity. Very good. right? So the number divided by 0, infinity mean it's a very big number. Right? You cannot store in that 8-bit accumulator, and that's an overflow. Okay, so that divide by 0, that indication, you get it on the overflow flag. Right? Overflow flag is set, indicating it's too large in the 8-bit accumulator register. Okay, so that was multiply and divide. Okay. And the last instruction in arithmetic group is DAA, decimal adjust accumulator. Right? 1 byte, 1 machine cycle. Accumulator is involved in the instruction. So 1 byte, 1 machine cycle. Right? Now, decimal adjust accumulator, this instruction is to be used when you are doing BCD arithmetic, binary coded decimal numbers, right? When you're adding BCD numbers. And before using DAA instruction, you should have used ADD or ADDC. Okay, this instruction only works after add or add with carry instruction execution. Right, so see in the blue color, ADDA comma some addition instruction should be written, and then only DAA will operate correctly. Okay, and what is this DAA instruction going to do? During addition, ADDA comma R4, say for example we have taken, microcontroller will perform addition in binary. Right, but as a programmer, I know I have put BCD numbers, so I expect the answer should also be a BCD number. Microcontroller does not understand this. So ADD will have a binary result. DAA will convert that into BCD, and that too into valid BCD. Okay. DAA will give you a valid BCD number. And how does an invalid BCD get converted into valid BCD? That result will be an accumulator after the add instruction. The data from accumulator or the result from accumulator will be added with either 6, or will be added with 60, or will be added with 66. Right? There is a correction addition. Add 6 to invalid BCD to make it valid. Correct? And why have I written 6 or 60 or 66? See, BCD, when I say BCD 79 is BCD. How do we write 79? 0111 is 7 and 9 is 1001. So 9 is 1 BCD digit, 7 is 1 BCD digit. So that's a 2-digit BCD. Hence, either add 06, it means you're adding 6 to the lower digit, or add 60 mean you're adding 6 to the upper digit, or you add 66 mean you're adding 6 to the lower as well as upper. Now, when do you add 6? Only if the two conditions are true. Mean, if whatever result you have got is greater than 9, greater than 0 to 9 are BCD. Above 9 is invalid BCD. A, B, C, D, E, F is invalid BCD. So if the result is greater than 9, we add 6, as well as if auxiliary carry is set. Auxiliary carry mean lower nibble to upper nibble. If there is a carry, if either of the condition or both the conditions are true, you're going to add 6 to the number, invalid number. Correct? Why 6? Because after 9, I should see the answer as 10, that is 10. Correct? Then how will I get 10 from microcontroller? Mean microcontroller has to skip A, B, C, D, E, F. A to F are 6 digits. And after F, I am going to get 10. Correct? So after 9, I should skip these 6 digits to get 10. Hence, there's addition of 6. Okay, students. So whenever result is greater than 9, it means skip the 6 digits. If there is an auxiliary carry, also means skip the 6 digits. Auxiliary carry has occurred mean the number is greater than 9. Okay, so when these two conditions, any of the condition is satisfied, we add 6 to it. And hope you all have got why 6. So to skip the 6 digits, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay. So say for example, we have taken accumulator is having 79 hex, R4 is having 38x, and you're going to add them. ADD instruction, accumulator is 79, R4 is 38, addition will be in binary, and accumulator will show B1 hex. B is not a BCD number, so that's an invalid BCD number. Correct, students? B1, invalid BCD number. Now this B1 invalid will be converted into valid by using DAA. So I'll only write DAA. Inside it, microcontroller will check all these conditions, automatically decide what to add it, and will give the answer, a valid BCD answer, right? So see, the example is written ahead. The same example, that is 79 plus, see here students, what was the digits we had taken? 79 hex in accumulator, 38 hex in R4. So accumulator is having 79, 0111, 91001. R4 is having 380011, 38100. And now microcontroller will perform addition, right? This is because this ADD A, R4 is getting executed. Now in the blue color, I have mentioned the carry outs. So addition will be 1 plus 0, 1, 0 plus 0, 0, 0 plus 0, 0, and 1 plus 1 is 2, 0 and a carry. It means I got an auxiliary carry from lower nibble to upper nibble. Correct. So the auxiliary carry was set. It means whatever answer you have here is an invalid. 000001 got an auxiliary carry. It means it's invalid number. You have to add 6 to make this number valid. Okay. Let us go to the upper numbers, upper 4 bits. Now this addition is 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. 1 and a carry. Next, 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. 1 and a carry. 1 plus 1, 2. 0 and a carry. And that's 1. So there was no carry here. There was no auxiliary carry here. But look the answer. 1011 is 11. That is B. So this upper number, what is it telling? The sum is greater than 9. I mean, this is also an invalid. To make it valid, add 6 here. It means the lower digit is also invalid because of auxiliary carry, and the upper digit is also invalid because it is greater than 9. So look at the down table. To this number we are adding 6, and to this also we are adding 6. It means what condition is getting true? We are adding 66. Not we, microcontroller. Microcontroller will automatically check the condition and decide what to add. So from our example, it is adding 66 hex. Okay, so this performs the addition again because of that DAA. It will add 66. So that's 1 plus 0, 1, 0 plus 1, 1, 0 plus 1, 1, and that's the last digit 0. Right? Now there's no auxiliary carry now, and it's 7. 7 is a valid BCD number. Go for the next 4 digits. 1 plus 0, 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 0 and a carry, 1 plus 1, 2, 0 and a carry, and that's 0 and a carry. Now while correction addition I got a carry, it's a part of the answer. And what's the answer? See here, 117. Correct. What did we say? It's a BCD number, BCD decimal. So 79 plus 38, 9 plus 8 is 17, 1 carry 7, 7 plus 3 is 10, 10 plus 1, 11. So 79 plus 38, your answer should be 117. And see, we are getting it here. 117. So that's a BCD, binary coded decimal. Correct? We got a correct BCD answer just with the help of DAA instruction. That's how your DAA instruction works. Okay. Now, see students, whenever I am writing an instruction, see, 79 is a BCD number, 38 is a BCD number. But while entering the data, I enter 79 hex, 0x79. mean I have entered the data as 79 hex. I have entered the data as 38 hex. Correct? I know as a programmer that's not a hex number, that's a BCD number, that's a decimal number. But see students, if I would have only entered 79, microcontroller will convert that 79, make it hex and add the numbers in hex, which is not correct. My numbers should not change. The addition should be of 7938. Correct? The addition should not be of conversion. So microcontroller so as to take the number as it is, while entering the data, I will enter it in hex. But as a programmer, I know that's not a hex number, that's a BCD number. Microcontroller does not understand anything. It's a programmer who has to make microcontroller work the way he or she wants. Correct? I want microcontroller to take inside 79, so I enter the data 79 hex. I enter the number as 38 hex. So microcontroller will perform 79 plus 38 and will give the answer in binary. I don't want that in binary because I know I have added BCD numbers. So I will convert this into BCD by writing BAA. Right? Hope you all are getting my students. Right? This should come in your mind. 79 was a decimal number. Why did we write hex? Right? Just let me know, have you all understood this? Thank you then, and see you all in the tomorrow's session.